What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here with Brian Daigle, and today we are going to be going through every word Roberto De Zerbi has said after that 1-1 draw, 4-2 win on penalties against Sydney. What a goal, Daigle. Matty's tell. Cooking.
I literally, as people will know, I was at work, so I didn't get to watch the game. But as I went out for my break, I quickly went through Twitter and saw the free kick. Great free kick. Fantastic free kick. Yes, opposition or whatever, but how long is it since
I don't think you take opposition into account with a free kick like that. No goalkeeper saving that.
Exactly. I mean, when was the last time we saw a set piece like that?
Gareth Bale.
I mean, I remember when I was back in London. I remember when I was back in London a couple of Novembers ago. Madison scored a free kick against Aston Villa, didn't he?
Yeah.
We haven't scored a lot of free kicks recently, and it's always good to see a good free kick going.
Yeah. But look, De Zerbi has obviously been in a press conference after the game, said some interesting stuff. So let's get into it. So the first question that he was asked was, how difficult has it been to mix and match with different players, able to play different amount of minutes, and some, like Fernandes, needing a rest? And he says, yes, it's not so easy because we have to be focused. We don't take risks. We have to manage. We have to manage the unit to give the players. Every player has a different plan, and I think we are working well. The young players are doing very well. They give us more solutions, and this period of the season is very important to improve the physical condition, the quality of the play, but we can't take risks to lose any player because now it would be bad news, bad feeling. So, yeah, I mean, not really saying much there that we didn't already know, but I was speaking about this with Sim on the post-match, just like, what a stupid idea it is to be out in Australia and New Zealand right now. Like, with the time difference, they can't even get the players on the pitch.
Yeah, but not in the side region. Obviously, it's been a World Cup. Obviously, some players have come back from World Cup and they've been to America. They've had a holiday. Now it's New Zealand and Australia. It's just so unnecessary, isn't it? It really is. And the way I've been liking in pre-season friendlies like this and what we do, excuse me, it's like when the Harlem Globetrotters are in town and it's just an exhibition game and they're literally just there, obviously, for the fans that we have worldwide. And this is just a fitness regime. This is just a fitness regime. And as I was listening to after work before Amir went, when he was saying it's just a friendly, there's no injuries, whatever. That's the thing. It is just a friendly. It's minutes in legs. I think the Chelsea game, we'll see a lot more first-teamers. I think you see the intensity ramp up, and then obviously we have the friendlies when we come back. But for me, these are just glorified fitness. It's like close training, isn't it? And just getting some minutes in your legs. Open
training schedule, yeah.
Yeah. And to get the fans who have to wake up at silly o'clock over there in the world to see the players. I get that part, but on a World Cup year, you would have liked it somewhere more local. And like I said, it's pre-season, minutes in legs and ready for Brentford. That's all it is to me.
Yeah, absolutely. He was asked about Lucas Bergvall, and he said, because obviously Lucas started today and big rumours about him leaving, and he said, have you spoken to Lucas Bergvall yet about his future as you have started him today? And he says, I'm always being very clear with him and with you. I would like that he stays with us. I think he's potentially a top player. But then I don't want to convince anyone to stay. Tottenham is already, without me, a top club, and we are not to convince anyone to stay. He can find the space if he stays with us. The competition within the players will be very strong because we are Tottenham, and we have to build a strong squad, not just 11 players, especially considering a lot of injuries we suffered in the last 2 or 3 seasons. Football is going in a clear direction. To compete for the highest places in the table, you have to manage 22, 23, 24 players. I don't want 24, but 21, 22 of high level for sure. So, I mean, yeah, he's quite adamant that he wants Lucas Bergvall to stay at the football club.
It sounds that way. It sounds that way for him, but we've obviously seen that bids have come in and Spurs are open to the deal. Look, Lucas Bergvall, for me, has 2 options. He either stays and believes in himself and fights for his place, or, like he said, the reason he wants to go is more first-team minutes, which obviously we can't guarantee. I personally would sell him. And if we're talking about we want to bring in players like Krupi and others that are ready, we're going to need to bring money in, and he will command a big fee. So I can't see him getting the minutes. I can't see him making an impression. Also, he's had his injuries.
Could you not see him getting the minutes if like Sarr and Bentancur go?
Then you got Gallagher, obviously Fernandez and Tonali.
Well, Gallagher's been favoured more as a 10, and particularly with the issues going into the start of the season, he'll probably play more minutes in the 10 than anything else. So you're looking at going into the season, if we don't sign another midfielder, of Mateus Fernandez, Sandro Tonali, Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall.
Look, do I believe he could fight for his place and improve with the players around him? Probably, but we are talking silly money for him, aren't we? Like we were talking about 100 million for Krupi in one season. They're talking 60 million. And like Zerbi has said, if someone wants to go and express a desire and he still feels that way, then let him go. Let him go and we'll see what happens. But obviously, he seems quite happy to allow him to stay, doesn't he? But I'm sure he said to him, I can't guarantee you first team starts.
Yeah, look, he can't. I think he's happy for him to stay or to go. I think he'd prefer if he was to stay. But if a player doesn't want to be here, there's no point keeping a player that doesn't want to be here. I don't agree. I mean, it's not that I don't agree. I've got opposite opinion to you. I would prefer him to stay. I think he's a top talent. I think he can be a massive player for Spurs in the future and the present. And I think in terms of looking at the squad building going into potential European campaign next season, it'll do us the world of good having Bergvall and Gray there, who are both club-trained players. So I think it will affect us on and off the pitch, keeping Lucas Bergvall. If he wants to go, then fine, yeah, go, like whatever.
Yep.
But if he wants to stay and fight for his spot, then I'm delighted to keep him at the club.
Yeah, like I said, we will differ on this one because I'm just thinking, do you know what? We want players that are ready now. We want players that are going to have a future. And at this point, if we were talking 25, 30, 40 million, then I think I might be a little bit...
Not every player is going to be like the finished article just yet, you know what I mean?
I understand that. I honestly understand that. But like I said, if someone said to me, you keep Gray or you keep Bergvall, I will pick Gray every time. Like I said, Bergvall's had his injuries. And the most important thing is it's him that came out and said, I want pastures new. So, as Zerbi said, if there's a player that doesn't want to be here, then go. But it all depends if the bids come in for him.
But has he said he wants to leave? Because the next question from Roberto De Zerbi was, has he told you he wants to leave? And De Zerbi says, no, never. I'm speaking with him before the end of last season during the World Cup 2 times, but now we are speaking better, face to face, without a competition in this moment. Now I started to work like I know my style. In the last season, we prepared the game. We worked in the head, on the mentality, more than the style of play. His position is very clear for me now. I needed time to understand the characteristics of the players, but I would like that he stays with us. He's a very young, very good player and a good guy. It's not so easy, so fast to find a young player of that level. So that's what De Zerbi's saying. He's saying that he hasn't asked to leave. I find that hard to believe. I do find that hard to believe. I think that Lucas Bergvall probably has suggested some concerns about staying at Tottenham for next season. But look, there's 2 ways you can look at this. Either what De Zerbi's saying is to potentially try drive up a higher fee for Tottenham Hotspur, or he genuinely is talking at face value and he rates him as highly as he's suggesting.
Or Bergvall hasn't actually said those words himself, but his people have, and they can say, well, Bergvall's never said it, but his representatives have. Look, again, it's all up in the air, isn't it? We honestly don't know, because it's not been like Savinho, who yesterday has apparently come out and said, listen, this is where I lay. It's all been rumours and ITKs and gossip. I think there is truth in it. I think he does see it, that he wants more football, especially with these midfielders coming in his position that look like, obviously, Tonali and Fernandez have gone miles ahead of him. So I understand his want to play football. I understand his desire to be a regular and feel like he demands a first-team place. but I just can't see him doing it at Tottenham. So, again, has he said it? Has he not said it? We'll see at the end of the window if he's still at the football club.
Yeah. Thing is, right, what midfielder can you see doing that at Tottenham? That's not Sandro Tonali or Mateus Fernandes.
This is, see, in the centre of midfield, like I said, I do rate Archie Gray highly. I really do. I think he is
But
the one
can you
that
see
could,
him starting ahead of those players?
currently not right now. I think this is a massive year for him. Playing with higher quality players around him and having more competition could really push him and make him improve. But right now, I can't see it anywhere past. I think Bentancur, if he stays, is obviously ahead of Gray. So Gray would be fourth choice. But like I said, I do think there's more potential in Archie Gray than there is Bergvall currently.
I just think that both of them have very high ceilings. Both of them have massive potential. And yeah, I'd like to see them both stay at the club. Then he was asked, you played with a double pivot tonight with one defensive midfielder at the base last time. Are you looking at different options? And he says, our pivot, we can stay in our half of the pitch and also we stay higher, but nothing changed and has changed compared to the other games. We have to respect the characteristics of the players because Lucas and Sandro, they can stay higher in the pocket. They can stay wider as midfield opener, or they can stay like the double pivot. Nothing changed. I think we changed the position during the game. It's the best solution because the opponent cannot be so comfortable to find a reference. So yeah, interesting him talking about how he wants to use his double pivot and plenty of different options available.
Yeah, there is. And like I said, at the moment, we don't know, apart from Tonali and Fernandes, what it will be. And we've seen, or I didn't get to see today, but the two prior games haven't really been high in intensity, has it? And them going full throttle. I think obviously Chelsea, we will see a more familiar first team. And then obviously the two games we have when we come back home with people like Kudus, who's back at home, hopefully Maddison, whatever. And then they'll really be chomping at the bit and going for it. So it's good to see that we've got options. What I'd love to see with some games is even using the double pivot like an attacking, like please God, Maddison and Javi, and having one holding against certain teams that we need to break down. But like you said, there's lots of options currently, and it's been a little while since we've actually had that.
He moved on to talk about Luca Williams-Barnett. He was asked, what did you make out of Luca Williams-Barnett today and his penalty? Did you see his penalty?
No, but I was listening to you guys when they stood up.
The audacity of that man, that's all I'm going to say. You got to go and see it. So basically, he said to that, we have to manage him like a precious diamond. We have to help him improve in the last decision physically, work harder to become stronger, because this time of football, he needs to be strong and to give him space where there is the right moment. I usually give time to all young players I work with in my career, and he is a potential special player. So he's calling him a diamond. I remember a certain Jose Mourinho calling Dane Scarlett a diamond before.
Yeah, I remember that. But look, it's wonderful to hear him talking so highly of Luca Williams-Barnett. And I was speaking to someone earlier. Do I think this guy could be the real deal? Yes. Do I think this guy is one of the most exciting players in recent years? Yes. Do I feel he is better now than Mikey Moore was at this time? Yes. Build-wise, yeah. All of these are yes. Do I think he is ready for first-team football and to be? No. But that's not a bad thing. I just don't want to set these massive expectations that we do. Remember when Bale left with Andros Townsend? Yeah. Oh my God! Look what we've got to. I think he is a real talent. I think this kid could be the next. Obviously, we haven't had a massive thing since Kane. Not saying he's getting there, but I really like what I'm seeing from him.
So what do you think the plan should be for him next season then?
Well, we can't send him on loan, can we?
No.
Until he's 18. When does he turn 18?
I'm not sure, but what I know is next season is the first year he can go out on loan.
So it wouldn't count if he turns 18 before January?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, then it'd be great to have him around the first team. Be great to see him start in a Carabao Cup or come on in a Carabao Cup game, but surrounded with first teamers. So it's not what we've done before and just chuck a load of youngsters in. And we've got to nurture him. We've got to let him grow, let him develop, let De Zerbi and the team do what they need, his backing team, support team do what they need to do. And then obviously next season may be a good time to send him on loan to League One, Championship, whatever. But the way I watched obviously the MK Dons game with you, when he came on, he was the only person in that second half that really got the ball and wanted to drive forward, break lines, and get Spurs up the pitch. And it's the things we love to see. It's that kind of play and risk taking and flair that we want to see. And I think he's got it all, but he has got to be nurtured and developed and not rushed and just thrusted into the spotlight before he is totally ready. But I am very excited by him.
The thing is, right, I do think he's ready. I look at him playing on the pitch against men, and he's making them look silly. He's got that burst of pace. He can take it past people at ease. He doesn't look physically out of place on the pitch with men. The talent, the sheer talent is there for everyone to see. Every time he's been on the pitch, he's been the best player on the park in all the pre-season games, every single time. So I'm not saying that he's ready to start every game for Tottenham and be our 10, but I do think he's ready to be in the squad as an option off the bench and to make an impact.
Well, you look at it. Well, the Mikey Moore game where he had that incredible second half in the Europa League, where he was it Europa League or Champions League? Can't remember now.
It was on the way to Europa League final, wasn't it?
On the way to Europa League. So that was really, really incredible. Then obviously he started against Crystal Palace the next game, and the whole team were next to useless. But So I mean, there's a big, big difference to what he's doing right now to say, let's say, being a part of the Brentford game, the opener, whether it be off the bench starting, there is a massive, massive 100%. Difference. I get what you're saying about the build, the flair, and all the things he's got. Big difference when it's game time.
100%. 100%, you're right. But I'm trying to compare these two players, and I said this to Sim on the fan show before. Like Mikey Moore at 17. To Luca Williams-Barnett at 17, I think they're completely different beasts. I think physically and self-belief-wise, I think they're worlds apart in my opinion. And you know my love for Mikey Moore, and you know how much I rate Mikey Moore. But I think Luca Williams-Barnett at 17 to Mikey Moore at 17, I think there's a massive gap in terms of the whole package of how ready they are.
With that, I completely, totally, and utterly agree with you wholeheartedly. Again, wait and see what happens.
That's how old Mikey Moore was in that game that you were talking about. He was at 17.
Yeah, and in that second half, he was unstoppable. But that was I think he had another good game where the three youngsters scored, didn't they? I can't remember which team that was. But that was it. But you put him in the Premier League, and he was anonymous. But the thing with him was, so was most of the team.
Yeah.
So was most of the team. You put Williams-Barnett on, and like we did with Dele Alli, surround them with quality. Different story. Could be a different story, and he could feel more comfortable. But like you said, completely, definitely, utterly more excited by what I'm seeing from him than I was Mikey Moore at that age.
Yeah. Then he was asked, with the World Cup players and others, is it about load management? And he says, Danso, Van de Ven, Solanke, Van Hecker, I thought today they were not ready to play yet without risk. Maybe some of them can play in the next game on Saturday with Chelsea. Maybe not at the beginning, maybe in the beginning, Robertson and Sandro Tonali. But it's the management of the players, especially after the World Cup or after big injuries like Udogie or Solanke. They suffered log injuries last season, and after a long trip, after the jet lag, after the beginning of pre-season, I wouldn't like to take any risks. So, yeah, it's interesting. He's saying maybe those players that he mentioned, Danso, Van de Ven, Solanke, Van Hecker, to potentially come off the bench against Chelsea, and Robertson and Sandro Tonali to potentially start against Chelsea. And Robertson was brilliant today, by the way.
Yeah, I heard Simeon saying, I heard when Steve came on and spoke about it, that when he came on, he added that quality. You know what you're going to get with him, don't you? I think Van der Ven, I think I'd rather wait till we get back home to play him. We all know, obviously, his injuries were a lot better last season. Van Hecker, I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of, but you know they might play a bit because obviously they've gone all the way to Australia. They're big players for this football club, so maybe they'll play a bit part. But I think I'd love to see Van Hecker and Van der Ven start the games back home. But we'll see. I'm sure they have some part. They wouldn't have sent them all the way out there for no reason, would they?
Exactly.
They just wouldn't have.
Exactly. Look, for me, it'll be good to see them come on in the game against Chelsea and get them a few minutes in their legs. He was asked then again, you didn't mention Mateus Fernandes, and he says, just fatigue, the calf. Also for him, we took the decision to not take any risk and to recover. But next Wednesday, when we start pre-season in London, he will be ready to work. So I think that puts to bed. I mean, there were wild rumours going around social media last night about Mateus Fernandes. So let's just hope this is something that we can take at base value, that there isn't more going on here and it's just fatigue.
You know what? First of all, we're Spurs fans, and the way we've had injuries, you wouldn't bet against it. But we've just got to the point now where one person can say something on Twitter, whether they're an account with 10 followers, 100 followers, 10,000 followers, and it spreads like wildfire. I went out on my first break, I think about 2 a.m, so about 7 o'clock your time, and all I saw was ACL Fernandes. I was like, oh my good God, please, just for the love of, please no. Then Alistair Gold said it. But you know what? If he's got a calf injury, rest him. Don't play him. If we're saying, I understand the dread and fear that it's worse than first feared and blah blah blah. We hear it all. He's come back. He obviously played against Auckland. Was it? We played the last one, not just now. Auckland came off the bench. From what I heard, did very well, spraying the ball about and whatever. Relax. If Spurs think he's got a poor calf of all this travelling we've done, I'd rather we take it easy on him and then he's ready for the Brentford game rather than risk it, push it, and he does something to that calf muscle and we cut off our nose to spite our face. So
I know, but it was just so like, we did the update yesterday and we brought up that quote from Ali Gold regarding Mateus Fernandes and saying like, oh, they never thought he was this good and they think, they potentially got a world star here, whatever the words he said, I can't remember exactly. And then to hear...
Holy moly.
Yeah, exactly. And to hear an hour later that he's getting injured. Like at the time I played paddle last night and I went into the game not knowing anything about this Mateus Fernandes thing. When I got off the court, I looked at my phone and it was like red hot with like thousands of notifications. I was like, what the hell has gone on here, man? And all I see is like Mateus Fernandes ACL. And I was like, no, come on, surely not. But let's hope it's not that anyway.
Thank God. Please God. I mean, a sore calf, it is what it is. Well, hopefully... We'll hear something from Spurs or we see him in London and he'll be playing and it will be just the precaution. But obviously, as Spurs fans and our medical track record, you hear someone's got a knock or they're not playing, it's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And for £85 million and all the banter we got for overpaying and why would he go to Tottenham, the banter that would have come our way and the rage baiting, it's unbearable to even think about.
I know. He was then asked again about Lucas Bergvall. He says, you said that Lucas hasn't told you he wants to leave. Have you picked up a feeling on where he is? And he says, it's very clear his idea. He wants space. He wants to play as a double pivot as a position. I can't give for any player in the world the place for a first 11 guaranteed, especially for me. I want to be honest with the players. I want to be clear. I don't want to make the first mistake in terms of position. I can't give guarantees. It's right when he wants to play as a central midfielder, but also to play as a central midfielder, sometimes it is to attack. Sometimes to keep the holder, to move the ball faster. He has to improve. He's a 2006. I would like that he stays. I would like that he stays. I don't know why he had to repeat that twice, but he says, but if he doesn't want, then what can I do? Nothing. He has to speak with Vinay and Johan to stay with us. We have to have the right spirit to stay. He's a good guy, and we'll see in the next weeks. What do you take from that?
What I do love about this is those kind of words will push players to go, right, I'll prove you wrong. I'm going to go into training and show what I'm going to do. If he's saying, no, how many times have we seen it that if a Spurs player's fit, they play? Or even if they're not fully fit, we haven't got anyone better, you're straight in. To hear him saying that, and even Tonali and Fernandes will be hearing this going, I can't guarantee you everyone's going to be fighting for their place. I keep referring back to a quote Harry Redknapp said when he said, how are you going to keep the squad happy? And he said, it's not my job to keep them happy. It's their job to make me happy and impress me, so I pick them. So I love what De Zerbi's saying with that. He's clearly identified how he sees Bergvall as a player, hasn't he? In that double pivot, which is, I would say, in the 2-3 years he's been here, I don't know what his position is. We've played
That is his best position.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. At Spurs, we've seen him left wing, we've seen him up as a 10, we've seen him as this, we've seen him as that. But De Zerbi sounds like if he does stay, he's got a clear picture in his head.
I think it's clear what his best position is. I think it's clear.
So there you go. So, but I think it's the thing I take from that most is the refreshing words from De Zerbi that's laying it out that you're all fighting for your places. No one's guaranteed. And you've got to fight for the shirt all week. And I will pick my team accordingly. So it's nice to hear a manager saying this and knowing that we've actually got genuine competition for these places.
Yeah.
And there will be a fight for it.
Absolutely. And the last question was, I know it's quite difficult at the moment where players get certain minutes and injuries and build and fitness, but where do you think your squad is at in terms of readiness, discipline, and where do you need to spend it? And he says, no, the physical condition is not the same for every player. Some players are ready to play 70 minutes, 80 minutes, maybe Archie Gray, I don't know, Ben Davis, Mateus Fernandes. Even today he didn't play, and some are going in the right direction. Tonali, Gallagher. Gallagher is a player who is able to play 80 minutes like Mattis Tell, like Richarlison, Manuel Solomon and other players. They are working to increase their condition. But I think all teams, also Chelsea, also Liverpool, also other teams with a lot of other players who played in the World Cup, I think they are spending the same time. So, yeah, nothing new. I mean, you know that after a World Cup, different players stagger through at different times. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to be at a different level, aren't they?
100%. And this is the thing with the football season after a World Cup. You've got to be careful with these players. Not just our players, all the players. They've played a lot of football, done a lot of travelling. Obviously, they travel in first-class luxury. They're not sitting in economy like this, waiting for their airplane food. They are living the life of luxury. But they all have to be careful with their bodies. The medical teams have to keep an eye on their well-being. Their bodies can break down. They're not machines, unless you're Pedro Porro or players like Højbjerg that we've had in the past. So he's right. They've got to get minutes in their legs. We've got to bring them back a steady pace and ask them to not go full throttle before they can and do what's best for Tottenham Hotspur. And he's absolutely right again.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, he speaks so well, De Zerbi, doesn't he? Everything he says is completely bang on. But look, that is what De Zerbi had to say after the game today. The 1-1 draw, 4-2 win on penalties against Sydney. I'm sure we'll hear from De Zerbi prior to the Chelsea game, which is obviously Saturday 10:45 kickoff. So let us know your thoughts on all the comments that De Zerbi has made in the comment section below. Big up for Daigle for coming on today. We'll see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs.